You've been there. You devoted time, energy, and even part of yourself to someone who, in the end, didn't seem to care. Your messages went unanswered, your gestures were ignored, and you began to feel invisible, as if your value had disappeared in the eyes of those you most wanted to impress. And the worst part, the fear that you might never be enough. So, tired of chasing, you made the decision that seemed impossible, to walk away. Perhaps it was in the silence of a lonely night or after another day of being treated like just another person. You walked away, not to hurt, but to save yourself. At that moment, you felt the pain of emptiness, the fear that perhaps no one would notice your absence. What if I disappear and nothing changes? But something incredible happened. By creating this distance, absence began to speak louder than any words. Suddenly, the same people who had ignored him began to notice what they had lost. Like an echo, they came back, bringing questions, doubts, and even regrets. Why? Because the space you created revealed what was previously hidden: your value. Detachment isn't about games or manipulation. It's about self-respect. It's about showing, without having to tell, that you know who you are and what you deserve. This isn't a tale of revenge. It's a roadmap for transformation. And if you've been through this or are living this reality now, you need to understand, the solution isn't in them. It's in you. Here, we're going to present the 7 reasons why they came back after you distanced them. We'll uncover the invisible triggers that awaken regret, the principles that transform the way others see you, and the power of a simple but powerful attitude: walking away to regain control. If you've ever felt that you've lost your place or that you've never been recognized as you deserve, get ready, because what you're going to discover here could be the answer you've always been looking for. They're back, and the reason will surprise you. Let's get to the reasons why they came back after you distanced them. But first, make sure you're already subscribed to this channel, because the next videos will bring you a series that will transform the way you recover your value and the respect you deserve. The power of distance. There are times when distancing ourselves from someone is not just a choice, but a necessity. Detachment creates an invisible but powerful space that brings clarity to both parties involved. We often get used to someone's constant presence, as if it were guaranteed, and fail to see its real value. When you decide to withdraw, you allow the other person to miss what once seemed commonplace. Absence can be one of the most effective ways of showing the impact of your presence. As the old saying goes, longing only exists when there is absence. By walking away, you're not acting out of impulse or revenge, but with a clear purpose: to reclaim your space and silently demonstrate the respect you have for yourself. The decision to no longer be available all the time sends a powerful message. You stop being a piece that can easily be moved on other people's chessboards and become someone who values their own presence. This attitude is often surprising, because society is used to immediacy and the constant search for attention from others. Stoicism teaches us that we cannot control the actions or feelings of others, only our own choices. Marcus Aurelius, one of the great emperors and Stoic philosophers, wrote, "What is not under your control should not be a cause for distress." By creating distance, you are practicing this principle in real life. Instead of chasing, you choose to step back, allowing time to play its part. Often, it is in this interval that the other person begins to reflect. The beauty of this process lies in the fact that you don't force anyone into anything. There's no manipulation or demands, just a silent affirmation of independence and self-worth. Those on the other side, when they miss you, often begin to realize the qualities that were previously ignored. Life without your presence becomes an open field for reflection. His absence creates a gap, and that gap sparks a question: did I underestimate his presence? This kind of withdrawal is, above all, an exercise in self-control. By resisting the temptation to insist or beg for attention, you become stronger. Withdrawal, when conscious and well-directed, not only awakens a belated recognition in the other person, but, above all, strengthens you. After all, those who know their own worth don't fear loneliness, because loneliness is only temporary company for those who have purpose. Individual growth becomes irresistible when you shift your focus from pleasing others to concentrating on yourself. A silent but powerful phenomenon begins to take place. The energy that was previously wasted on attempts at acceptance becomes fuel for your personal development. This process is not just a change of attitude, but a complete reconstruction of the way you see life and yourself. Imagine for a moment someone who previously depended on external approval to feel valued. When they decide to invest in themselves, something extraordinary happens. they become undeniably different. It's as if the world stopped for a second and had to look again at someone it had underestimated. Their transformation, often silent but visible, arouses curiosity. Those who doubted you now begin to wonder, how did he manage to change so much? In Stoicism, there is a fundamental concept that reinforces this idea. You should focus on what you can control. Seneca, one of the greatest names in this philosophy, said, "The man who is at peace with himself does not need the approval of others." When you channel your energy into your goals, abilities, and inner development, you not only grow, but also become an example of independence. This growth is not done to impress anyone, but to honor who you are becoming. And it is exactly this transformation that attracts. When someone sees that you're growing without depending on someone else's gaze, it's hard to ignore. Your confidence becomes something tangible, something that others feel, even without you saying a word. Personal growth works like a magnet. You're not trying to attract attention, but your evolution speaks for itself. However, it's important to understand that genuine growth takes time. It is the result of small daily steps, of habits built with patience and discipline. Whether it's learning a new skill, taking care of your body, or feeding your mind with wisdom, every attitude counts. By evolving, you not only surprise those who previously underestimated you, but you also reinforce to yourself that your greatest commitment is to your own progress. In the end, individual growth is about freedom. The freedom to become the best version of yourself, regardless of what others think. And it is precisely this freedom that becomes irresistible. After all, who can ignore someone who thrives alone? Self-reliance is magnetic, being able to thrive on your own, without depending on the approval or presence of other people, is one of the most attractive qualities anyone can develop. When you achieve this ability, you transmit a serene confidence that, even in silence, stands out. Self-reliance doesn't mean isolation or indifference, but the ability to find satisfaction in your own journey. Anyone who sees this immediately notices the difference, and the respect that was previously lacking begins to emerge. The truth is that, most of the time, people feel the need to be needed. When you demonstrate that you can walk on your own, without leaning on anyone, you create a kind of inevitable contrast. The dynamic changes. They stop thinking that you need them and start feeling that maybe they need you. This silent balance creates a unique magnetism, something that can't be forced or faked. It comes from the deep understanding that you are in control of your life. Stoicism addresses this idea in a simple but powerful way. Epictetus taught that true power lies in maintaining control over what is inside you, your actions, emotions, and thoughts. When you adopt this perspective and stop depending on the external to be happy, something incredible happens. You become free. Your happiness is no longer tied to circumstances, people, or results. And this emotional freedom creates an aura of respect and admiration. Imagine someone who once lived in search of validation, opinions, praise, or attention determined their worth. Now, that same person thrives on their own, developing their skills, achieving goals, and conquering their own inner peace. They don't walk away out of pride or arrogance, but because they understand that their priority is to build something solid, their independence. This type of person doesn't beg for attention or try to please everyone. They follow their path with focus and confidence, and this attitude makes others stop and take notice. It's important to note that self-sufficiency doesn't mean rejecting connections or relationships. On the contrary, it strengthens these relationships because you approach people by choice, not out of necessity. When you demonstrate that you're fine on your own, without being emotionally dependent on anyone, the connections that emerge are healthier and truer. After all, you're not trying to fill a void, but to share your life fully and consciously. In the end, self-sufficiency works like a natural magnet. People are attracted to those who exude quiet confidence and inner security. When you become someone who thrives on your own, without waiting for the world to fill in the gaps, others notice. And they often come back, not because you called them, but because they couldn't ignore the silent strength of someone who has learned to be enough for themselves. So, have you ever thought about this or experienced something like this? Let me know in the comments if you've ever been in a similar situation or know someone who has. Let me know. I'll take a look and help in any way I can. Regaining emotional power. When you decide to walk away and seek self-esteem internally, something extraordinary happens. You regain control over your emotions. Emotional power, so often unconsciously handed over to others, returns to you. This process is not about closing your heart or becoming insensitive, but about understanding that your inner peace cannot depend on the actions or words of others. By stopping reacting impulsively and choosing to act clearly, you become someone who doesn't give in easily to external chaos. For a long time, people may have underestimated you because you may have given more than you received or cared too much about external opinions. When this cycle breaks and you decide to focus on your own emotional balance, changes begin to appear. Your posture becomes firmer, your reactions more controlled, and the way you deal with difficult situations conveys strength and maturity. Those who previously saw you as fragile now begin to see a stronger, more unshakable version of you. Stoicism teaches that we shouldn't allow others to determine our emotional state. Marcus Aurelius, in his Meditations, wrote, "If you are distressed by something external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your evaluation of it, and that is in your power to change." Regaining emotional power means exactly that, choosing how you react, what you accept, and where you invest your energy. You stop being manipulated by other people's behavior and start acting according to your values and principles. This movement does not go unnoticed. When people realize that they no longer have the same control over their emotions, it generates a significant change in dynamics. Before, your reaction might have been predictable. Now, you surprise by remaining calm and balanced even in situations that used to unsettle you. This makes others rethink their actions and realize that they can no longer treat you as they did before. The most interesting thing is that this recovery of emotional power is not about proving something to others. It is first and foremost a personal victory. You learn to respect yourself more, not to give in to pressure, and to understand that your value doesn't depend on external recognition. Those who once took you for granted begin to see what they've lost, because now you've become someone with clear boundaries and a strength that inspires. When you regain emotional control, you stop being a passive participant and become the protagonist of your own life. This change not only strengthens your self-esteem, but also makes others respect you more, because they understand that you are now someone who knows your worth and doesn't give it away easily. The impact of setting limits is an act of self-love and a silent declaration that you know the value of your time, your energy, and who you are. For a long time, many people get used to giving in too much, to saying yes when they want to say no, all for fear of displeasing or losing connections. The problem is that this attitude leads others, even unintentionally, to treat you as if your availability is guaranteed. When you finally set clear boundaries, the impact is immediate and powerful. People start to really respect you. Boundaries are not walls you build to keep others out, but doors you control, choosing who can come in and who needs to stay out. By demonstrating that you are no longer willing to accept less than you deserve, the dynamic changes. Others' perception of you changes, because now you demand respect not with words, but with attitudes. This is the point at which your self-confidence grows and others understand that they need to adjust or be left behind. Stoicism has fundamental teachings on this. Epictetus said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react that matters." Setting limits is a conscious choice to no longer react passively to the actions or demands of others. You decide how far someone can go in your life and make it clear that your time and energy are valuable. From the moment you put yourself out there in this way, people learn to respect your presence. Interestingly, by setting limits, you become more selective. Not just anyone can access your attention or be part of your routine. This not only increases other people's respect for you, but also the respect you have for yourself. After all, when you choose who deserves to be in your life, you value yourself more. This process can be uncomfortable at first, especially for those who have become accustomed to their old posture. Some may react with strangeness or resistance. However, over time, this new version of you, someone who values their own presence, comes to be admired. Those who once saw you as someone who was always available now see you as someone who has clear standards and boundaries, and this is deeply attractive. In the end, setting boundaries is not about pushing people away, but about creating a healthy balance. You teach others to value your presence by showing that you already value yourself. Those who really matter will respect this, while those who don't will end up being left behind. And that's more than acceptable, it's necessary. Well, we're halfway through the content, and I've noticed that you haven't liked this video yet. This is very important so that YouTube continues to show you this type of content, and so that I can continue to help you. So, leave your like there, because it's free and it makes all the difference, right? Now, moving on. Stoicism in practice. Applying the principles of Stoicism in everyday life is one of the greatest demonstrations of inner strength that anyone can show. In a world where the search for validation is constant, adopting this philosophy allows you to regain control over yourself, abandoning the need to please or influence others. Stoicism teaches a simple but profound lesson: focus only on what is within your control. When you act according to this principle, the changes around you happen naturally, without you having to force anything. Imagine situations in which you felt frustrated at not receiving the attention or recognition you wanted. How many times have you acted by trying to change other people's behavior, only to be disappointed? This kind of effort is pointless because you can't control other people's actions, feelings, or choices. Epictetus, one of the great names of Stoicism, taught that true freedom comes when we understand this difference. Some things are under our control, others are not. Wisdom lies in knowing how to distinguish between them. When you put this into practice, you stop wasting energy trying to manipulate or persecute anyone. Your attention turns to what really matters: your attitudes, your emotions, and your personal growth. This change of focus creates a serene strength that others notice. From someone who once seemed dependent on approval, you transform into a person who lives according to their own values. When you stop seeking external validation, a curious thing happens. Those who have distanced themselves begin to notice the difference. Your calm and detached attitude makes people see you with new eyes. This is because Stoicism is not passivity, but a conscious way of living. You choose to act with balance, accepting what you cannot change and focusing only on what is within your reach. This quiet confidence is magnetic. In addition, Stoicism helps you deal with rejection and disappointment. Instead of getting down on yourself or reacting impulsively, you see these moments as learning opportunities. Marcus Aurelius, the emperor philosopher, wrote, "The happiness of your life depends on the quality of your thoughts." When you cultivate a strong mind that is not easily shaken, you become someone who is unshakable. This daily practice of emotional control and rationality transforms not only how you see yourself, but also how others see you. You stop being someone who chases and become someone who attracts naturally. After all, people are inevitably drawn to those who exude balance, wisdom, and self-control, and that, in the end, is true power. Thriving alone inspires curiosity. When you learn to enjoy your own company and find satisfaction in your individual progress, something powerful starts to happen. Others notice. It's as if the glow of your independence is impossible to ignore. While many people seek external attention to fill an inner void, you choose to grow and evolve on your own, without expecting recognition or company in order to thrive. And it is precisely this attitude that generates curiosity. Thriving alone doesn't mean living in solitude, but learning to be enough. It's knowing that you can have fun, evolve, and achieve your goals without depending on anyone's constant support. When you make this decision, you naturally start to stand out. Those who have distanced themselves from you or underestimated you begin to notice the changes: the way you walk more confidently, how your actions have purpose, and how calmness accompanies you. This awakens in them a silent question: what has changed? How did he manage it on his own? Stoicism reminds us that true power comes from within. Seneca, one of the greatest Stoic philosophers, said, "The most powerful man is the one who is master of himself." When you take control of your emotions, your desires, and your actions, and no longer seek external approval, this change is noticeable. Thriving alone is an expression of this mastery. It is the result of a journey of self-knowledge and resilience. It's important to understand that this transformation doesn't happen overnight. It requires dedication, patience, and, above all, the willingness to face yourself. You start investing in areas that matter, improving your physical health, expanding your knowledge, building new skills, and, above all, strengthening your mind. Little by little, this evolution becomes visible and generates an impact, even without you having to announce your achievements. When others observe someone who thrives on their own, without seeking validation or approval, it challenges what they knew about you. Your independence makes them wonder, did I underestimate you? That's when curiosity kicks in. They begin to want to understand what made you change so much, what made you so secure and serene. In the end, thriving alone is inspiring, not because you're trying to prove something to someone, but because your evolution is silent proof that your focus is on what really matters, your growth. And this new version of you, which stands out on its own, ends up attracting others naturally. After all, curiosity is inevitable when someone shines without depending on anyone else. At the end of the day, what you've realized throughout this video is simple but transformative. Distance isn't a loss, it's a strategy. When you choose to distance yourself, you recover something valuable that you may have forgotten: your personal power. Each of the reasons we cover here proves that change starts with you. Self-respect, a focus on growth, self-reliance, and above all, mastery of your emotions. Stoicism teaches us not to beg for attention or try to control what is out of our reach. You don't need to force anyone to stay, because your value doesn't depend on someone else's gaze. By creating space and strengthening yourself, you become someone who is impossible to ignore. People come back not because you forced them, but because your transformation made them see what they had lost. Remember, your focus should always be on your growth. When you become someone who thrives on your own, sets clear boundaries, and acts with confidence, the world around you reacts. From here on in, the choice is yours. Keep handing over your value to those who don't recognize it, or elevate yourself to the point where you become someone unquestionable. If anything in this video made sense to you, it's because the answer you were looking for was already inside you. The solution isn't to chase, it's to evolve. The decision to walk away and rebuild can be difficult, but, as we've seen, it's exactly what keeps others coming back. Because your absence, and what you have become in the process, speaks louder than any words. Remember, the real power lies in respecting yourself first. Once you do that, the rest comes naturally. Your value is non-negotiable, don't forget that. Thanks for watching. If you're not already subscribed, take the opportunity to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on all the upcoming content. See you in the next video, see you there.